Alright. You guys ready for this? Oh, we got stutters aplenty. Alright. Let's switch back to the live view. Alright, my display captures are not working for some reason, so we're going to switch to telemetry here. Alright! There we go. Okay guys, so here's the capture that we did. My day was good, Sarsaparilla girl. Super good. It was Sunday here in San Diego. A super duper Sunday. Alright. You guys see this? Okay, so a little bit of explanation. If you've never seen one of my Microstutter streams before, or where I fire up the dev tools and kind of show you. Boston Tom, I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I love the rain. Okay. Here's the deal. You see along the top. Hold on, I don't have display cursor. What do I not have cursor showing? Oh, there we go. Okay. So along the top, this is as time goes on. You can see 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. This is a 5-minute capture that I did here. You can see these red lines across the top, and these are like little flags. So my profiling tool is basically saying, hey, look at these frames because they were super long. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to zoom in on one of these. Like this was a really bad one right here. So I can zoom in. You can see this is like 2 minutes, 4 seconds, 6 seconds, 8 seconds. And each one of these little like lines up here is a frame. Now, if the game is running at like 100 frames per second, you'll see like 100 of these little lines in the space of a second. Each one of those is a frame. So we had some that took a really long time here, right? Like this one. Comparatively speaking. So this one took 47 milliseconds, which is actually like a really short amount of time. But in this case, you see how like everything took a lot of time. And we see a lot of this like game state dispatch stuff right here. So if we scroll down, we can kind of get a look at what everything is doing. We can keep scrolling down. We can see, oh, like some stuff is happening here. So this view, when I do the administrator capture, it shows me like which cores are running which threads here. So that gives me a lot more information to kind of figure out what's going on. Let's keep going down here and we can see what's going on. So I do see like there's a lot of dead space down here, right? So this is kind of what we were seeing in the past. And if we can't find any reasons for that, we kind of suspect that a driver or Windows or something is probably taking a bunch of time from the game. So looking at this, I mean, I see some things get allocated to cores. Like you can see them executing here and then not, and then they get run on a CPU again and then not, and then more. Right? Some of these are low priority, some of them are higher priority and stuff, so we're kind of looking for things that would indicate that we're waiting on something. So I don't really see anything here. So this one did sleep a little bit for maintaining my FPS limiter. So that's what this little block is here. That's the max FPS limit. So we're going to zoom out. We're going to look at this. So we waited on the render thread here. So this is really interesting. So we're waiting on some garbage collection tasks, which it looks like most of the time was spent actually executing that. So this might be something that we can kind of look at here. I don't think this is probably the general Microstutter case. But you can see this whole big red line here is like, hey, we spent a good quarter of a second or so waiting on the render thread to finish collecting garbage, essentially. Garbage collection is kind of a programming term. I can dive into this later if you guys want. So we're going to zoom back out. We're going to look at some of these earlier ones. So these are like me running around in the box. So this was definitely a Microstutter right here. So interestingly, this core game client give time we can see that the main thread wasn't really being run here. So it wasn't actually doing a whole lot. So if we scroll down here, we can kind of take a look at what's going on. Wow, there's lots of threads. Lots of threads. So yeah, again, we see this really interesting pattern here where just the CPUs are largely idle. So we're trying to figure out why that's the case. Why the main thread is not actually doing anything. Right? Because we basically go into this pre-process input. Right? And the test or the render thread is kind of like it's doing its presentation. So what might actually be the case here is the present itself, which is what actually like tells the graphics card to flip to a new frame. Something could be happening further down that we don't have any view of within the driver or within Windows, which was the case with the last Microstutter. What's good is that the cause that we were seeing for the last Microstutter is not really present at all so far from what I'm seeing here. Let's take a look at this one. Looks exactly the same. Looks like you know, we got some good information here. This is a different type of Microstutter than the last one we fixed. But we're seeing a lot. Look how idle all these CPUs were. All this dead space is just idle. It's not doing anything. So we can kind of look into this and figure out what's going on. Because yeah, I see like the main thread runs for a little bit. We have this, let's see, what is this actually doing? So it just starts this input processing. And we just start presenting with the GPU. So last time what we were seeing, the keep warm, the vertex pool stuff, was actually stalling out in the NVIDIA driver. And deeper than that, within Windows. So this could be very much the same thing where we're doing a present, which is a NVIDIA driver call, and it could very much be doing something similar. So tomorrow's Monday, I'm going to get this this capture here to our graphics programmers and basically say, hey, what is going on with this? I also haven't updated my NVIDIA drivers. There's probably a newer one, so I could probably do that too. But I'm not going to do that on stream right now because that would probably cause problems. But yeah, so that's kind of what we see, and we could dive into like any one of these different Microstutters here. We still see the same kind of idle pattern happening here. And if we go up, yep, we still see, you know, the main thread is doing its thing. It's just kind of like waiting, trying to process input. In this case, once again, we see the same kind of thing happening here where we start the present and then the entire thing goes silent, and then that finishes at some point and that unblocks everything. So what's interesting here is that, you know, I kind of do suspect the drivers again at this point, which basically looks like we're going into the NVIDIA driver at this point, and then the entire game just stops running for a second. I do not have GeForce experience, no. So that's kind of like the long and short of it. I'm going to take this capture. We're going to give this to some people tomorrow. I'm going to restart Steam. We'll get in and play. It'll be a little frustrating because of the Microstutters. Somebody remind me towards end of stream to update my freaking NVIDIA drivers.